So you're all very welcome, and thanks for coming along. So, National College of Art and Design, NCAD, based in Thomas Street, offering undergraduate, postgraduate, and continuing education courses in the areas of fine art, design, education, and visual culture. We have about 1,500 students, including what's called CAD, which are the night students, and we're ranked in the top 150 art and design colleges in the world, which is a great achievement. And we are also affiliated to UCD, University College Dublin. So we're the largest single-purpose art and design college in the city, and where we're situated is fantastic on Thomas Street, very close to cultural institutions like IMA, historical sites like the National Museum in Collins Barracks and Christchurch, and we also have our own gallery, which is situated at the front of the college. So the actual college itself is fine art, which would look at painting, print, media, sculpture, and expanded practice, ceramics, glass, textiles, art and artifacts. And then the School of Design is made up of fashion design, textile and surface design, jewelry and objects, interaction design, product design, graphic design, illustration, and moving image design. The School of Education, where you basically learn to be an art teacher, and deals with education in design and fine art. So it covers both areas. Then the School of Visual Culture has a BA in visual culture, and it deals with the history and theory of contemporary art and design. And if you're doing any studio-based program in either fine art or design, you will still take visual culture classes throughout your time in NCAD, as it's really important to contextualize your work, and it's kind of academic kind of balance with the more practical hands-on. Work placement in year 3 is an option within visual culture, as well as interaction with galleries, and you can also attach it on to your degree. Say in fine art, painting, for example, can have a critical culture or a visual culture element to it, and in design as well. So the CAO codes are as follows here. You'll find these on the website. That's a new layout now for 2022. It's slightly different from previous years. And there's 2 new programs, which are interaction design and also illustration. So these 2, AD 222 and AD 217. It will be possible to apply directly into some areas such as fashion and other areas like illustration and graphic design. And common entry is also still an option. So it's important to think about what it is you want, because whereas before every student came in through common entry and then made a decision as to which school they wanted to go into, the School of Fine Art or graphic design, or design, Now you can nominate through the CAO to go into specific pathways from the start, and then you go through a common entry process in semester 1, and then you specialise after Christmas in semester 2. So the minimum entry requirements are as follows. You probably know about this, so it's 2 H5s or 4 06s, H7s at Leaving-Cert. These must include English, Irish, and either a third language. If you have applied for AD 12 product design or AD 222 interaction design, you must also have mathematics. 5 distinctions at FETAC, QQI level 5. And if you've applied for product design and interaction design, you will also need to have Leaving-Cert maths in this as well. So, sorry, applications then to year 2 are also welcome across areas. Again, you can apply through the CAO. Closing date is the 31st of March 2022. On all this information is on the website. On programs where places are available, applications will remain open. Include on the application form information about previous education and relevant work and other experience where you can. You'll be asked to submit a mini portfolio of your work, which is used for shortlisting. The mini portfolio should include 10 images with titles and short description of what informs your work, 500 words max, and the portfolio should be in PDF format. Shortlisted applicants are invited for interview and asked to bring along their portfolio. So the first year experience is a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary year for all students. So as I said, even if you do nominate a specific pathway through your CAO, it will be multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary when you come in September. Students will work across both schools in the first semester and a variety of disciplines during their first term, with common entry students choosing their school at the end of that term, and then halfway through term 2, you choose your specific discipline and studio space. So for example, you know, if you are coming in as a common entry student in September, you would work up to Christmas in semester 1, and then at the beginning of semester 2, you would then choose a school, be it fine art or design. And then if you choose design, for example, then you make a decision to go into, say, graphic design or illustration or moving image design, for example. So access programs at NCAD. NCAD is not a member of the HERE and DARE, but we do run our own scheme in parallel to those schemes. The qualification criteria is the same as HERE and DARE. And when we write out to applicants with the portfolio results, we will send out information on the access scheme and invite you to apply if you so wish. Access offers are made based on a concession on the e-portfolio score, rather than on CAO points. So Studio Plus and the BA International, again, are kind of new programs. They take place between years 2 and the final year of a regular degree. Studio Plus is currently offered to all design students and fine art students and offers them the chance to take work placements, study internationally, and work on live projects with NCAD industry partners. International year is the opportunity to take a full year of international study as part of your degree with affiliated colleges and collaborators around the world. So these are just some of the areas that many of our graduates get involved in. If you're hoping to work in the area of fine arts, you'll likely be working as a self-employed artist, but many of our graduates have successful art practices. Design areas may offer more definite employment and potentially more concrete career paths. For example, you know, working as a designer in done stores, for example, visual merchandising, arts administration can span a wide range of roles from gallery management to curation, etc. So there are many, many, many different ways. And these things, these opportunities and these career progressions are changing every year. And chances are, if you start in NCAD next year in September, when you come out the other end 3 or 4 years later, there'll be a completely different list of professions here, and possibly even ones that you'll make up yourselves. So some dates for your diary. The open day, which is now, today, which you know. The CAO closing date is the 1st of February 2022. And then the portfolio submission deadline is the 11th of February 2022. And again, all of this information is on the website. The portfolio submission in 2022 will be digital. And this is the portfolio is the primary criteria for entry to NCAD. Portfolios are usually submitted the Friday following the close of the CAO applications and are held for 2 weeks for review before being available for collection. That's if we were taking in actual portfolios. But next year, the portfolio submission will be digital, as I said, and there will be a portal which will be available on the website where you can put in a digital submission. So what do the portfolios look like, and what do we expect, or what do we like to see? Well, they could be kind of what you want them to be. As I said, you need to think about what it is, what area you want to be, get involved in. If you're a common entry student, you will get a chance to look at lots of different areas within fine art and design practice. You will touch on, in the first 6 weeks, it's primarily about observation, research, and analysis, as well as getting involved, inductions in various different workshops like soft materials, print, 3D. So it's a really nice opportunity to extend your practice, to question what you've done before, almost disassemble and put it back together again in a different way, if that's what you're interested in. The common entry experience is wide and varied, and we like to see people who can express themselves through drawing or image making or three-dimensional work, sculpture, printmaking. If you're interested in fashion, an ability to research is really, really important, and again, you'll get a chance to develop this skill from looking at what's called primary research, which is you making things yourself, and then contextual research, which is looking at other practitioners and how that reflects and how that connects with your own work. There's a focus on drawing. We're not looking for people to be fantastic drafts people, but it is a useful thinking tool and a way to think, work things out, solve problems. These are some examples of a product design student. So we like to see how people think, and notebooks are very important. Being able to think of ideas, use concepts, develop concepts, challenge the norms, consider what the alternatives are, Ask interesting questions. If you don't ask interesting questions, you won't have interesting answers. Materiality, you know, how do you deal with color? How do you deal with texture? How do you deal with composition? You know, we do look at fundamental processes where, you know, that would be tied in directly to processes involved in making work, from painting through to various different other disciplines like print and fashion design and using materials and getting your hands dirty, as well as, you know, maybe more meticulous stuff that is about kind of working things out that would have connections with typography potentially, or pattern making, or, you know, three-dimensional work, or, you know, how interfaces work on various different platforms. So this is a cross-section of student work over the last, you know, this is pretty recent stuff. And these are examples of, you know, brave and curious is a thing that we like to think of. It's kind of tied in with the ethos of NCAD, and we do live up to that. We do like to challenge, the students like to challenge themselves, challenge the tutors, and challenge their peers to, you know, to be brave and to be curious and to try and reinvent and rethink of things, and maybe not do what you did before. This is an opportunity to really question and engage with your fellow students and colleagues in order to progress the work and progress yourself personally and have fun. It's a really important thing as well. Be experimental, take risks. So I hope this resonates with you. I hope you see how your own work could progress in this way, and that, you know, being involved in the first year experience in NCAD, I hope you think that it would be beneficial and it would be the next step in your own personal practice. I hope that these examples would give you a kind of illustrate the diversity and the standards, if you like, of questioning and research that goes on within the college. And thanks very much to all these students who kindly donated their work for us to showcase on this open day. So there you go. That's that. So the chat function is open there if you'd like to type in a question, or if you'd like to unmute yourselves and ask a question. I'd be happy to try and answer it if I can. Did anybody have a question? Okay, so Justina, is it okay to put written notes in the portfolio, the exploration research phase, or should the images speak for themselves? I think it's not that you can put explanation notes in the research. I wouldn't go into too much detail. I would keep it fairly short and succinct. The images should really speak for themselves. You know, from a portfolio point of view, there's a specific amount of time that we have to look at portfolios. So sometimes brevity is good. But yes, in answer to your question, yes, you should. And then from Jessica then, is there any full sample portfolios available or only what we've seen? There are sample portfolios, and I think there are some sessions set up with students, Jessica, where they bring, I think there are recordings of students actually bringing you through. So they should be more extensive than what I've shown you. And again, there should be information on the website about that. Dunboyne College, can we ask for a bit of info on what the illustration degree involves? Okay, so illustration is, as a profession, what happened 3 years ago was graphic design, communication design split into 3 different routes. Graphic design, illustration, and moving image design. Illustration is essentially about image making. It's making images, normally to a brief, usually has a client involved, and it's usually set up to solve a problem. It can incorporate handmade elements. It can be photographic. It can, you know, I would see it as a kind of direct development from some of the experimental work that happens in first year. When you then get into second year in illustration, you would bring those skills and those concepts and ways of thinking into how you make images. I hope that answers your question. So to Katerina, I'm studying in BCFE at the moment, and I'm working on a project central to a theme. Can I include my own work that's unrelated to this theme in my Yes, absolutely you can. Yeah, your portfolio should be a reflection of you as a practitioner. It doesn't need to be specific to any one project. So you can include whatever you like in that. Lacey, is there any photography related courses in the college? Photography, Lacey, comes into everything. I would say the most, as I mentioned, you know, you can be an illustrator and use photography. Maybe the most, from a fine art point of view, I would say that media, fine art media would use photography, possibly more than painting and printmaking. But yeah, so fine art, I would say as an outcome, photography would be really important. And then photography would obviously be, from a communication design point of view, it would have, it would be related to graphic design, possibly illustration and moving image design as well. So photography extending into film. Katie, to everyone, is there a recommended size for the portfolio? Because the portfolio, Katie, is going to be online and going to be submitted online, it's really down to how you put together the digital files. So, for example, if you use if you use Google Slides, there is a specific size to the page. I would say, you know, if you're going to reflect what an analog portfolio is, I would say probably around A2 landscape, A2 portrait would probably be the you know. But then, you know, if you want to put in bigger work, you can. So there's no real restrictions given that we are digital. Quiva, does the common entry year add an additional year onto the course that a person will specialize in during their second year? No. So the common entry, your common entry is basically first year. And then if you were, say, to choose fine arts just after Christmas, then you would become a kind of a common entry student who then specializes or looks to fine arts in the second semester of the first year. And then you have year 2 and year 3 on top of that, with possibly a Studio Plus, which will bring it to a 4-year degree in total. And that's the same for fine art and design. Is there anything from portfolios over the years that you've seen you found impressive, Ali? You need to demonstrate that you are fanatical about what it is you do, that you are just obsessed and you can't think of anything else, and that you love it. And there's no specific thing that would stand out for me, but what I love to see is bravery and energy and a willingness to challenge yourself. So yeah, have fun with it and enjoy it. Because when you're enjoying something, when you're enjoying making the work, that will translate into whoever's looking at the work will get a sense of that. So that's what I'd say to you. Maeve, should a portfolio follow a theme throughout, or can you show works that don't fit your theme? Well, that goes back, I think, to maybe Katrina's question earlier on about that she's working on a specific project, but she wants to know if you could add extra things to it. I think that's the same for you, Maeve. I think it's nice to see something that's thematic, because then, if it's a project that's based on a theme, you can see all the various bits and pieces around it, but that shouldn't stop you putting in other stuff that's not related specifically to that theme, like sketchbooks, notebooks, maybe another project, maybe something that is, deals with different techniques like film or photography or whatever else. So from Sinead, is the maximum amount of images on your is there a maximum amount of images from your portfolio that you can submit? 20. If so, does that include your notebook? No. So what you can do, what a lot of people do, is they put in, say, 20 pieces, Sinead, and then they would make a film of their notebook, which would be one thing. But it would have, obviously, it would be films of going through your notebook, which could be 40 pages, and that's actually one piece, if you understand what I mean. And that's a guide as well, so again, we're just thinking about just time, that, we can't look through 200 or 300 things. So you have to think about editing your work and think about what your best work is. Put your best work in. Don't put anything in that you don't think shows off your work to its best. Katrina, again, I think, can I include videos flipping through sketchbooks? Yeah, just said that. Absolutely, you can. And that's a really kind of efficient way of showing lots of work. Quiva Mooney, after common entry, do you always get a space in your school of your choice? Or is there a limit on numbers? There can be a limit on numbers because there are direct pathways, Quiva. So what happens if you come in as a common entry student is that you need to keep your grades at a level that you give yourself the best opportunity to get into pathways at the when you need to make those choices. NCAD Open 18, the submission platform will not allow more than 30 uploads. Okay, so I'm not sure what that means. Presumably this has to stop at some time or whatever. Okay, so Jessica Dunn. Is there notebook examples of what we put in the notebooks in the guidelines? Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's examples of previous student work that's up on the website. So have a look at those. They're fairly instructional, and they'll show you what kind of stuff that people have put up before. Patricia Thomas, do you have a theme as a mature student? I have selection of work with different mediums. Will this be accepted? No, you don't necessarily have to have a theme, Patricia. I think if you have, work that you've made over the last, number of years or whatever else in different media, that's absolutely acceptable. And, it's your work. So the theme is that it's come from you. So it doesn't have to follow a very specific thing at all. No. And from Thalia, can we include separate works unrelated to our themes like canvas paintings? Yes, you can. You just have to think about how they're presented. You might need to photograph them. So in the photographing of them, just be careful of light and just think about the resolution of the image, and just think about the, that they're sharp and that they're easy. Or you might even take sections, it doesn't have to be the whole thing. It could be a section or a number of different sections. But yes, you can include things like big canvases, three-dimensional pieces, stuff that, you know, but it'll have to be photographed. And then Aveen, when you're second year, is it possible to lose your spot in your specialism? It's always possible to lose your spot, Aveen. You can always fail something, but you know, let's not contemplate that. Let's assume that, you know, everything's going to be fine and you won't be in that position. And Maeve, if I'm applying for a photography course too outside of NCAD, can I add those in? Absolutely. Yeah. Again, think about, you know, what it is you're focusing on, if it's fine art or design led, and yeah, of course, absolutely. So because, you know, chances are people are you know, putting in portfolios to various different courses in the country, and all of those courses, as far as I understand, are digital. It does give you the opportunity to kind of mix and match and to use your work in different ways and re-edit for different courses, etc., etc. And in many ways, that's the beauty of an online submission, that it does give you that license and that opportunity.